Hey, what's up? It's Jared. I'm doing something new, which is actually filming while my family's home. I normally don't do this because it's not typically very quiet in my home, but I really just felt inspired to create this video. I've really felt inspired this last week. I mean, this year has really been pretty good, and a lot of people are releasing their year in review videos where they're talking about how 2019 went. And though I enjoy looking back, and I was kind of inspired by a video that Ali did where he went through and looked at his year in review and utilized Notion for that. I've kind of been following along with some of his videos and using those as inspiration to create my own methods for utilizing Notion in a way that works for me. And I've shared some of that with you here on this channel. But I decided to do a year in preview because I was putting down all the things that I was, proud of and things that I felt I could have done better for 2019, but I just couldn't get excited because I was already excited about 2020. And so I have all the things written down that I've done in 2019 with my daily log, all the things that went well, all the things that I could have done better, things that I'm grateful for. All of those things are already in my daily log. So I really just wanted to look forward to 2020 and have a kind of bird's eye view at the things that I want to achieve in 2020. And I'm going to put this together as a template for you so that if you want to create something like this for yourself, then you can, because I think it's really good to have a roadmap going forward. Now, I did a 2020 goals tracker. I did a video on that. And I've spent a lot of time, even since that video, looking at how I could better optimize that goal tracker to stay on track with my goals for 2020 and make sure that I don't get derailed. I found that for me, the number one thing that gets in my way is me. And as long as I have systems in place, I can stay on track and keep motivated. So we're going to look at my year in preview right now. My year in preview is all about looking at the year to come, and this is kind of a bird's eye view. It's going to include things that I want to achieve, things that I want to stop doing, some milestones, some like far out there items that maybe I can achieve, we'll see. And so we're going to look at those, and I hope that this inspires you to look at 2020 going forward and have a preview in place. So when you're filling out your calendar or you're looking at, bringing forth the things that you need to put in that are locked in for 2020, that you build in other things that are going to help you achieve the things that you want to achieve this year, rather than just waiting around for opportunities or hoping that they fall in your lap, because they just don't. It doesn't happen that often. So here's some things that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, the first thing is achieving my goals in 2020. I talked about that already a little bit, and I talked about that in my last video with the goals tracker. And I'm going to come back and do a more advanced look at the goals tracker because I've got it dialed in, and I think you're going to be pretty excited to see how this works. I've got it dialed. I'm excited for new adventures with my family. This year in 2019, we had some pretty cool adventures. This next year, bigger adventures, new things that we haven't done before. I'm looking forward to new adventures. I'm looking forward to moving to Montana. That's something that we're planning to do, and I'm hoping that that is something that we could pull off. But the goal is to relocate from California to Montana in 2020, and so that's a thing that I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to taking my wife on a flight as a private pilot. I'm going through that process right now, and that's one of my goals for 2020. So I want to be able to achieve that goal and then be able to take my wife somewhere overnight for a nice little trip away, just an overnight, but actually fly there in a plane, just the two of us, which would be super cool. And another thing is collaborating more. I went to NAB, which is a big cinematography camera show in Las Vegas, and I met a lot of great people, and I connected with a lot of brands, and that opened up a lot of opportunities in this year. And I'm looking forward to collaborating more, meeting new people, working with new people, and just seeing how I can add value to what they're doing, and see how I can learn from them, because everybody's got something that we could learn for. So things that I want to discover. This is an interesting one because I've been on this path to discovering more about myself. I'm going to be 40 in a couple of weeks, and so I have been wanting to discover more about myself and understand more about myself so that I could become more self-aware, understand why I do things a certain way, correct them if they need to be corrected, or build upon them if they're strengths. And so underneath each of these categories, I have like a sentence or two of kind of what I'm trying to achieve with that. More about my kids. I feel like I know my kids pretty well, but they're in that age where they change a lot. New things are happening. They're developing new likes and dislikes and stuff, and I want to be a part of that. I want to understand, and I want to know them to the best of my ability. And so I want to know more about my kids in 2020. I also want to know more about my wife. We've been through a lot in our almost 12 years of marriage, and I feel like I know her pretty well. But as I've been on a path to really know myself in a deeper way, I want to know her in a deeper way as well. I also want to discover more ways to improve my health. I made huge strides in 2019. I lost over 30 pounds. I feel more healthy than I have in at least 10 years, if not more. I'm more active, more able. And so these are things that I want to further discover. I want to go beyond what I've already achieved in 2020 with my health and my physical fitness. I want to build new friendships, new relationships. That's something that I started building this last year. And unfortunately, with the move, it'll be hard to maintain those relationships. I'm going to try my best to do that. But I also want to create new relationships where we're going. Prior to 2019, I just wasn't very good at creating and maintaining relationships. I want to discover new bodies of water. That's something that I want to do through hiking and flying and all the things. Just as we explore new places, we love lakes, we love hiking, and these are just fun things. So discovering new bodies of water is definitely on the list there. Things that I want to accomplish: physical fitness, of course. I have a goal to decrease my overall body fat just for health factors and health reasons. I feel like the weight that I put on was really hard on my digestive system and just on my core. Obviously, weight has a lot of other implications as well, but I want to decrease my overall body fat so that I could take that additional strain off of my body that I still feel. So I have some physical fitness goals that I want to accomplish. I have a revenue goal for my YouTube channels and everything that I'm doing in and around YouTube and online education, and that is to generate $20,000 a month in revenue, which I hesitate putting a dollar amount on it because dollar amounts can get kind of weird. $20,000 a month sounds like a lot of money, and it really is a lot of money, being that we are a one-income household where all of my online efforts, my clients that I serve, and all of that generate the revenue that runs my family and allows us to do a couple of cool things every year. Those are things that I want to be able to do and have more control over. And though $20,000 is probably much more than we need to exist, especially if we're going to be moving to Montana, it will allow me to invest in the ways that I want to invest in our future and for our children. We have 4 kids. We need to make sure that we are investing properly for our future as well, and also have some additional monies put away just for a rainy day or for unforeseen situations. These are things that I have had built up in the past and had to use, and built up and had to use. And just being able to grow things to this place means that I will have everything served by those revenues. Now, 20,000 is kind of a high goal. It's not something that I feel like I necessarily need to reach, and it's not I don't know. I hate putting a dollar amount on it, kind of, but it is a form of measurement, and it is a form of measurement that affects my life in more ways than having a certain amount of subscribers on YouTube or a certain amount of followers on Instagram or something like that. The next thing is to own land with plans to build. That's something that I want to achieve this year, and it is a very lofty goal considering that I don't really have anything saved for purchasing land. One of the goals in moving to Montana is more space and having some room to roam around, and that's something that we've wanted to do. It's a goal that my wife and I have had since we first got married, was to have some land, and it is very challenging to do that in California, and we want to do that in Montana. So the goal to own land with plans to build. I want to hire a video editor. I have technically 3 YouTube channels, and it's very challenging to shoot video, everything that's involved, plan the videos, do all of this. I'm a one-man show right now. In the past, I have had someone help me out with video editing. I really miss that, and I need some assistance in that. So one of the future goals in 2020 is to have a video editor that is editing videos on my behalf. I also want to have some growth in Instagram and growth on an emerging social media platform, not because I want a certain follower amount or I want to unlock special features or achievements or something like that. It's just that I want to be able to give through those channels. I want to show that you can build and optimize your own life without having to put your entire life in the hands of someone else through working for someone else. I mean, there's the lifestyle design. I don't like that topic or that title. I have talked about that in other podcast episodes and in my emails. But the idea of just optimizing your life in a way where you are in more control over it is something that I'm huge on, and I want to utilize social platforms to further tell that story. I want to grow my email newsletter and be more consistent at it. I started doing that this year for the first time. It's something that I want to do more of. I want to run a 5K. I did the color run years ago with my wife. It was kind of fun, but that didn't count. But I want to run a legit 5K. I want to run a legit 10K. Those are things that I think that I could achieve this year, considering that I am just about finished with my 20,000 steps a day challenge, which is about 10 miles a day. I feel that I should be able to run a 10K with a little bit more training. So those are things that I want to do. I also want to bike a full century, which is a organized 100-mile ride, whether that be through some sort of I don't necessarily want to compete, but I want to do it in a form where my time is being measured and it's kind of legitimate. But I want to bike a century. I've been getting back on my bike and trying to ride a little bit. I also want to live stream a 150-mile Zwift ride on Twitch. I'm not going to get into what all that means. Zwift is essentially a simulator for taking bike rides. I have my bike attached to a trainer, and I'll talk more about this on my social media if you want and you're interested in that. But I have this idea of live streaming rides and doing something with that. So that's just something I want to do. Purchases I want to make. A Mac Pro or an iMac Pro. My laptop right here is great and I love editing from it, but I want something more kind of fixed, something with a bigger screen, something with a little more going on. I've played around with different monitors and I've reviewed a few of them on State of Tech, but I don't know. I may be leaning towards going with a Mac Pro or an iMac Pro. I'm going to need to buy a new truck this year. I sold my truck about 3 months ago. We've been doing one car as a family, which has been fine considering I work from home, but it has been a little tough. A truck is something I'm going to need to buy. And then, of course, land is something that's on that list as well. I already talked a little bit about that. Things I want to start doing. Read books. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I don't read much. I want to read more, and I want to make time for doing that. I want to celebrate more. This is something I think I'm going to talk about in a whole nother video. One of the things that my grandmother did that I remember as growing up is we would celebrate wins. Whether they be big or small, we would celebrate them somehow. And we would celebrate them together, and we would be a part of that celebration as a family, and I really liked that. And we did a little bit of that early on in my marriage. I want to do more of that, and especially with my kids, I want to celebrate their wins, and I want them to share in the celebration of my wins and the wins of my wife's as well. So I'll talk more about that probably in another video. I also want more organized space, not more organized space, but a more organized space. The reason that I'm filming in here also is because this is my desk. It's kind of a mess. Over here is an overhead camera that I use. This table is kind of a mess. I just have a lot of stuff that I haven't quite figured out how to organize or where to organize. And I'm also going through the process of trying to get rid of some of it. So I want more organized space, not more as in size, but a more organized space. Things I want to stop doing is the next section, chasing random ideas. I do this a lot, and I may even talk about this in another video, but I chase a lot of random ideas. I come up with this idea, I think it's great, I go down that rabbit hole, and then I should have been working on another project. I should have been using that time to work on one of my projects instead of going down some random idea that probably I won't have time to work on because I have these other things that I've already determined are my goals. My goal tracker for 2020 is definitely going to help me stay on track there for sure. Buying tech items that I won't use. I feel like I've got better at that in 2019. I used to back all the things on Kickstarter. I would get excited about all the new emerging things. I got much better at avoiding buying all those things, but I still fall prey to it sometimes. A good story, a good interesting new piece of technology, and I just want to have it, and I need to be better at not diving into that. Having any reliance on fee-for-service work as income. Now, that goes back to that dollar amount goal. Right now, a large portion of my income is from online ventures and stuff of my own that I control, but I do still rely upon some fee-for-service work where I'm trading my time for hours of work for clients, which I enjoy doing. I enjoy my clients. I love doing it. I just don't want my income to be reliant upon having those clients. I had a situation this year where a client made some decision choices to kind of move things in a different direction, and that affected my income for a couple of months while I kind of rebalanced and regathered and utilized that extra time to work on something else. It was unexpected, it was a little uncomfortable because I already had things going. It didn't necessarily hurt, but it was uncomfortable, and I don't want to have to be stressed out about stuff like that. So I don't want to rely on fee-for-service work anymore in this next year. That's something that I definitely want to focus on. And making piles is something I want to stop doing. I am a pile maker. My wife and I both tend to do this. We will stack some things up with the plan to deal with them, and then there will be little piles. And we know what's in the piles. They're organized piles. And we're not bad. It's not a hoarder status or anything like that. It's just from time to time we get some piles in some places, and I need to stop doing that. I need to put things away. And this goes into having a more organized space. If everything has a home, it can go where it goes, and I don't have to make a pile because piles happen because I don't know where I'm going to put it yet. So I definitely want to get away from that. So now we're going down into some other thoughts and then challenges and achievements. Other thoughts is that I want to continue using Notion in a way that's sustainable. I could easily create some things within Notion that are not sustainable, that take too much time. I've already actually done that a few times and had to reel myself back in. But I want to utilize Notion in a way that's going to help me continue to keep my life organized, that's going to keep me on pace, and it's going to keep me accountable. And I think that I've done that really well, and I'm going to talk about that in more videos that I'll share with you on this channel, but I need to make sure that I'm doing it in a sustainable way. I also want to lead my life more prayerfully. If you go to my website and click on the About page, I kind of have like a little reason there that explains kind of my whole mindset on everything. But I want to lead my life a little more prayerfully, not by the seat of my pants, not by what sounds good to me, but I want to take time to consider it. I want to take time to hand that off to where I need it to be, and then with some time and some more prayer, come back and make a decision instead of being super impulsive, which I tend to be. So here's some challenges and achievements. These are items from my challenge list, which I actually put up on my website almost 10 years ago. I think I was 31, and I created this challenge list page on my website, and I put all these things that were like huge challenges on there. And some of them I've accomplished, not nearly as many of them as I would have liked, because these were things that I wanted to do during my 30s, and a lot of them are now moving over into my 40s. So I'm on a trajectory to get some of these things done, but I've got some of them on this list, and these are kind of stretch goals, things that I would hope that if I had a little bit of extra time, I could maybe start working on or maybe even achieve. The first one, land a kickflip. I skateboarded a bunch when I was a kid, but I was never that good. I never got to the point where I could land a kickflip. I was always too afraid of falling. I want to write a book. I want to play guitar or drums in the band at my church. They have a really good band, very professional, very, very talented folks. I want to play with them one of the instruments that I learned this year. I want to take my wife to Paris. That's something that's been on my list. It's like something that I want to do for her as a major thing because she wants to go. It's been a dream of hers her entire life, and I want to make that happen. I want to learn to surf. I feel like that's an easier one. I already know how I can do that and who I can do that with. I just need to make that happen. I want to learn a martial art. I got my kids involved in jiu-jitsu a little over a year ago, and I just haven't done that myself. This might be something that I invest a little bit of time in when we get moved. I also want to speak to a crowd of 5,000 plus. Not necessarily because 5,000, it's a certain number that I want to reach or anything like that. It's just like I want that opportunity to share something that is very meaningful, that has a lot of value with a big group of people. And, in order for me to get to the place where I could have that opportunity, it needs to be something profound and something that I've really worked hard on. And so that's not just 5,000 because I want to be able to say, oh, I spoke to 5,000 people. It's a big number because it's something that would take a lot. I can't just walk up and talk to 5,000 people. There would need to be something with some extreme value that I'm able to provide to them. So I'll also put a link down below to my challenge list. You can see it, see some of the things that are on that list already, and check that out. I hope that this year in preview is something that you found interesting. I know it's a lot about me, and I try not to talk a lot about me because I don't necessarily think anybody finds my life in particular that interesting, but the idea here is that you take maybe this template, which I've provided a link to below. You can hear maybe some of my children in the background now, but I've got a link to this, and I want to provide that to you so that you can take this list and fill it out yourself and have a year in preview that you can always go back to. So when you find yourself off track a little bit, or when you find yourself deviating from your goals, you have a roadmap in place that you've already gone through, that you've already built, so that you have a way to get back on track. So that's going to do it for this video. If you found it useful, let me know down in the comment section below. Share it with someone else that you know needs some motivation or wants a better way to stay motivated going into 2020. I hope that you click subscribe, and I hope you have a fantastic new year. Let's start out 2020 great, and I hope to see you back in the next video.